Start with e4. Reza Babnadi. Oh, I got a a Russian game or a Petrov. Oh, he plays this move. That's not that common. It's a gambit, I guess. I can take the knight and then protect my pawn. Okay, you can very quickly get an attack here. Let's stop the knight from coming there. Maybe I should have brought the bishop out instead. Bishop to e2 would also have stopped the knight from coming there. Well, in this position, I don't have to castle kingside too. I was thinking maybe I should put my queen on e2 and bishop to e3, knight to c3, castle queenside. Rook could be opposite his queen on the open d file. I wonder if he played this by mistake or if this is some kind of gambit. Okay, yeah, so queen e2. Now the queen is also looking at this pawn, but I could play knight c3 first and then the bishop out. Yeah, let's go here. Maybe he's going to castle. Maybe he's going to castle kingside or queenside. It's possible. Oh, I put the queen over there. Why is that? Because he doesn't want me to develop my bishop. I see. Pins my knight. Okay, let's kick the queen. I just want to break that pin. He can't go back to there. I say. I guess you know, my rook there is loose. So if I play, you know, I assumed this fork was going to win, but actually he could just take it because the pawn is pinned against my rook. Okay, but now I can at least unpin my knight this way. So I could do something like knight here, attacking his queen, and then take here with a check, forking the king and the rook. The queen can't, with the knight here, the queen can't defend that pawn, I don't think. Where would the queen go? It'd have to go to this square or that square. Ah, so he brought his bishop back to defend. So do I have any other good moves? Yeah, if I push the b pawn, he can still take it. Let's develop my bishop here and castle. Could just put my rook on the b file. Well, that would leave the a pawn hanging if I pushed the b pawn, though. So yeah, develop my bishop and castle kingside. Then the rook is defended. Then I can play b4 to kick the queen back. Queen can't really come over here. I've got these squares covered. Queen, bishop, pawn. Could come here. It does go there. Yes, I can put my bishop here now. Let's go ahead and do this. Get rid of one of his dark squared bishops. I don't mind straightening out his pawns. I'm still a pawn up. And yeah, let's get castled. Get my king out from this file. This pawn is well defended here. I see. I take with the knight. He's going to take here, but I'll hit his queen and take here. It should be okay. I decided to castle. Yeah, so his bishop was hitting this pawn, but if he just took it, then there was going to be a discovered check here. So let's defend the pawn. I like this. I like this position for the bishop, but I guess if he puts enough pressure here, I might have to retreat it. Yep, there he goes. Okay. So now he wants to move his. Let's kick the queen back. He wants to move his bishop with a tempo on my queen. So let's attack his queen. Okay, yeah, let's step over here. Get away from the the onrushing pawns there. Okay, so he is pushing there. If I take, it's kind of an ugly trade. If he takes, he wins the pawn. If I push, he pushes with check. That's annoying. Let's see where to go here. I think I have to take it and suffer the discovered attack from his queen there. So I have to step back here immediately, I think. Got to defend here. And the bishop is kind of pinned. The rook is loose back here. So he lines up like that, which also defends his rook, but I can line up as well. So I've got a check here now. I could just lean on this guy. Let's go with the check first. Oh, he just wants to simplify things. That's okay. It's just a win for me if he simplifies here. Guess I should defend that pawn, though. Could have defended with my king, actually. Okay. And where to? Let's chase that rook away. Let's bring my rook out. Okay. He's gone for a bishop. Oh, king and pawn endgame. Let's think about this. I take, he takes. I can push here. His king is pretty close to the center there. These two pawns hold these two, so the action will be on the queen side. I take, he takes. I step over with my king. He steps over. I step over. I mean, eventually I'll push and push, take, and I'll have two pawns in the center. I think that's a winning king and pawn endgame. I start building up that pawn majority here. Okay, let's see. I push, he takes, I take. I push, he pushes, I take, he takes, and I've got a passed pawn. So I think I should push here. Maybe he can get a draw out of this, because these pawns are a little close. He resigned. Well, I was thinking, instead of moving his king there, what if he just plays here? I can't. If I take, he pushes, and then he's got a queen. So I go here. Maybe this is enough to stop him. Now I can't push this pawn. It's stuck. I could try to come in like this. This pawn is pretty close. And I think I'm just in time to stop him. Yep, very close. Anyway, let's see if we can get another game here. Let's play a rapid game this time. Let's see, yeah, I started with e4 that time. I'll play d4 if I get white again. But okay, I have black. 1902, A. Spieler, A player. I haven't played the Scandinavian in a while. Okay, he plays the main line here and kicks my knight. I think you're supposed to go back to the queen side, but it's one of those things I always have trouble deciding if that's really a good move or not. So I could play this kind of like a Slav with the pawn on c6, or more like a Queen's Gambit with a pawn on e6. I wonder if I have time to get my bishop outside the pawn chain first. That would be nice. And I could pin his knight, get castled. Looks pretty good. Maybe play c5 to liberate on this side of the board, which is not as necessary with my bishop already outside the pawn chain. He can, of course, go after the bishop, but it'll take him a few moves to exploit that. So it is nothing to worry about. But I think bishop to b5 and castling is the next thing to do. Yeah, he prepares to castle as well. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, did I blunder? I blundered here, I think. I can defend the bishop with the knight, but then he can play d5. Well, then I can take his knight with check and then take the pawn. Maybe I am saved by the bell here. Yeah, you should always look for tactics like that. I should follow my own advice too. Okay, so let's take here with check first. And I could just castle. And give up a pawn over here. And play out the game, see how it ends up. If I don't castle, I don't really have a way of defending this knight, and it can't move. So yeah, let's just castle. So everything's protected here. Knight here attacks the c-pawn. Ask him how he wants to defend it. Bishop here attacks the queen and a pawn here. It's kind of interesting. I would get a pawn back, but it would open up this this line towards my king. But well, he would have difficulty castling as well. I don't think a draw is appropriate in these circumstances. So my castle will come under fire, but he won't be able to castle at all. That's the way I see it. Aha. Yeah, that's reasonable. But what if I just take it? Pawn takes, knight takes. And if he saves this pawn, I'll have some kind of discovered attack on his queen. Maybe knight takes here. Pawn takes, knight takes. Queen moves. Then I take here. He still can't put a rook here or pinning because his bishop is in the way. And there'll be another line open towards his king. Ah, he kicks my bishop. That's pretty clever. Okay. That is not so bad for him then. Then he's going to be able to take back, I guess. Okay, where do I want my bishop then? Do I want it back here or here? I mean, I could move it all the way to c2, which would be kind of interesting. Or it could come back to g6. Let's put it on c2. See if he finds a way to exploit that. Ah, he just castles. So now he is thinking of maybe putting a rook into the center here. Let's go ahead and grab this pawn. Well, let's count the pawns. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the pawns are even. How about if I offer the queen trade here? Because that queen's in a very annoying position. He might accept because it would mess up my pawn structure. And his queen has not so many good squares to run to. He did. Then if he takes this pawn, I take back with the knight. The material stays even because I'm hitting this pawn. He can't immediately attack my knight because of the bishop. So it'll be bishop and knight versus the bishop pair. So if he can exploit the bishop pair, he might be able to get some advantage in this endgame. Yeah, like that. They're good pieces, those bishops. Let's go ahead and take here. And yeah, he's hitting my rook, so I have to develop here. It's a good idea to develop anyway, but I needed to move that rook. I might have brought the other rook out in an ideal scenario. So do I want to move the knight? I could let him just take there. Because I want to defend my c-pawn here. So if he takes my knight, he gives up the bishop pair advantage, and he messes up my king side. Oh, if he takes the knight, I take the bishop, he takes the rook, I take back. What is that? That's not good. That's two bishops for a rook and knight. Yeah, I mean, his bishop is loose, but... You know, maybe I moved too quick. Maybe this was a good move. Skewering. But I guess he could take the knight, and I take the bishop. Or he could defend his bishop. Anyway, back to the game. It's not what happened here. Yeah, I decided to take. So the question is, do I take with the pawn or the rook? So if I take with the rook, he takes the knight, I take back. Then he'll have to come defend this pawn. If I take with the pawn, he'll have a passed pawn and I'll have a passed pawn. Mine is closer, but his king can come over and attack that. So I take, he takes, I take back. And he brings a rook here. I lift my rook. He starts to bring his other rook. I bring my other rook, and then he walks his king over. Maybe I take this pawn. There's something else here. Some clever knight move. I don't see it. I'm going to take that pawn with the pawn and see if I can line up and get a passer there. Ah, it goes there, but that's, is that okay? Knight here. I guess my knight has quite a few moves to go through to get to a square where it attacks the bishop. From this location would be good. Knight here, he attacks. I go here to defend. He kicks me, and I go here to attack the bishop. Or here, and then here, check. That's better. So yeah, here to defend that pawn. Yep, so he avoids the check. Now, if I put a rook here, it kicks my knight, I go here. He takes the pawn. I can take either the bishop, or if I went here, I have a choice between taking the bishop or the pawn, but his rook could be here, and my two rooks would be here. So rook takes pawn. If bishop takes, I take the rook. So he takes with the rook. And guess I don't do that. Or I take the bishop, but then he could take back with the pawn. I would have to pile up. Okay, let's lift my rook anyway to a better square. There's check here. There's attacking the bishop here. See, with the rook here and here, there's no fork. How about if I take the bishop first? Is there a fork then? Don't see it. So knight here, he takes the pawn, I take the bishop, I guess. And then he can take with either the rook or the pawn. Is there something else I could attack with that knight? Okay, we'll just go like this, and we'll double up on that bishop. Yeah, so I can go here, attacking the rook. Bishop takes knight, rook takes rook. Rook takes rook, rook takes rook, so that looks good. So knight here, the rook will move. Maybe it'll drop back here. What then? Where to next? Knight. Then knight here hitting the pawn. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a threat. Knight here hitting the pawn. I take the pawn. He takes with the bishop, and that defends the rook. So it's no longer a pin there. Yeah, let's put this one on a light square. Yeah, so he goes there immediately. I can place a check here. King moves there. There's a check here. He takes, I take, he takes. I guess that's not good for me. Here and then here, it's no good. Let's see. So if bishop takes knight, I still have rook takes rook. So he's not going to do that. He might do rook takes rook, and then I can play rook takes. Just have to make sure I don't put my king on this square where he can take the knight with check. So I'll start walking my king over. I didn't want to take with the knight and have him attack my rook. The knight is kind of pinned there. So there we have it. It's got the bishop versus the knight and an extra passed pawn. So it should be a win for white here, but we will see what kind of fight we can put up here. You need to get my king in front of the passed pawn. Let's put these pawns on light squares. That'll make it easier to defend. His bishop can't attack him then. So I need to keep his king from penetrating too. So ideal spot for my knight would maybe be here, looking at this square. Maybe his king will come in on this side. So how can I get to, yeah, he can come in there. Okay, let's attack his bishop. Yeah, he can't make progress with his king from that square, but he can start pushing this pawn. If I could get my knight around like this, this move comes with tempo, then go here, hitting his king. That would drive him back. But he might be able to come around to the other side then. And that keeps his king out of this square and threatens the bishop. Then, yeah, I'm going to step here with my king next. So we can repeat. He can go here, I'll go back. He goes here, I go back. So he starts moving that pawn. Now what? As long as his king isn't coming in, it's not a problem. Yep, and a knight on this square. Okay, this threatens a fork, kind of. Although his bishop is defended, so probably I would not be able to take that bishop. Yeah, so let's go here with the king then. Again, it's the key to keep his king out. If he can keep his king from penetrating. And I can move my knight here and start to put pressure on this pawn. Or here. I go here, he defends with the bishop. I guess it doesn't much matter. I could have also gone to this square, which would have looked at this square and this square, but I couldn't actually take the bishop anyway, so it didn't matter. This one gives me a check here. Oh no, he can't come in. He can't come in because my knight controls that square. I was momentarily worried his king could come in. So I can go here. He comes in again. I can drop my king back. And I can come here hitting his bishop. Interesting. So he gave up a pawn over here. Thought he had to move his bishop back. So now I've got a passed pawn. Yeah, at some point I can take that bishop or trade it and get his queen away, king away from defense. Or if his king goes after this pawn at any time, I can take here. So where to now? Here to here. Yeah, so now I can take the bishop. Take the pawn. And take this one. I'm one step closer. I'm one step closer to queening. More than one step. Let's go ahead and block. So let's do this right now that we got this far. Okay, well, that was a bit of a swindle, but you know, that's why you play the game. Okay, let's walk over there and take that pawn. All right, good game. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Bye now.